Familiar foes meeting for the first time in the USL. Stifling defense and a long road swing bring Ottawa to Indianapolis, whose climb up the east continues in their friendly confines. Tonight, will the fireworks begin under the roof at Lucas Oil Stadium? The USL Game of the Week on ESPNU. Sun setting in Indianapolis on Independence Day. Indy 11 and Ottawa Fury, foes who know each other quite well, meet in a new locale, in a new league, in an important matchup in the Eastern Conference. Hello, everybody, and welcome with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside for both these teams. This is an important matchup. It's a chance to make a statement. Yeah, for Indy 11, definitely a statement victory last week. The best win of the season so far. But you don't want to waste all that hard work with a sloppy performance here tonight. They went out mediocre this weekend. And then trades at Ottawa. On the same token, Ottawa did such a good job coming in, getting back onto track. And the problem is they started slow, but Popovich has them back on track playing good football. And they're doing it against a really difficult schedule, not just the teams they're facing, but really how many games they have to play. You see 8 games in 32 days, and it's not just that. We know the physical demands that have gone on here, but the problem is it's the travel schedule. It's the attrition on your body, messing with your body clock, poor sleep. Popovich has told us how difficult it was on them, but look, they're ready to get back on track. They finish up here tonight, then they have 5 games at home. On the other side, Indy, a team that's playing as well as they have all year. It's just they have some really good wins and some really iffy losses. Yeah, we just referenced the great win versus Nashville, but look, another even-keeled performance this weekend versus Penn FC, but it's time to put it back in high gear and come out swinging. They've been in this situation 2 other times this season. The hard work over the past 5 games need not be forgotten. They've got to get their way back on a track into relevance in the Eastern Conference. They've done it. Now keep a stranglehold on it. And if they're going to do that, Jack McInerney key, because he can play in a lot of different places and he makes big plays. Yeah, he's got an excellent soccer IQ, and he's a great threat on set pieces. Look, we've seen what Ioze can do, Suni Saad, McInerney last week from the dead in the dying moments of the game versus Penn FC is able to get them a draw. But look, one of the hardest things to do is to stick to your game plan. He can deal with the ebb and flow of every single match. He knows how to gel with his squad and does a good job, especially when the trends are coming in a negative manner. Need him tonight to step up big. Certainly so against an Ottawa team that's reaching a decisive inflection point in their season at the back end of a grueling road swing. For Indy 11, 5 unbeaten, a chance to claim a share of second place. The USL Game of the Week is coming up next.
Lucas Oil Stadium, where the streamers are still falling. Indy 11 at home with the Brickyard Battalion ready to go as they take on a former relative common foe, Ottawa Fury, in the USL Game of the Week. Let's meet the starting lineups. We begin with Indy 11. When we spoke with Martin Rennie, he knew he was going to make some changes to this group.
Well, you see the one that jumps out right away is Bradford Russin, number 22, Carl Wimet, getting the double yellow, suspended, coming off the Penn FC, so he's going to be a big one. That back line has gelled very well. But another interesting piece, and this could move a little bit, Jack McInerney. We talked about him already. He's out on the left. They tend to use him up top a little bit more. But Martin Rennie telling us he really likes the matchup with Benjamin Spies and Starkup going at this back line of Ottawa Fury. For Ottawa Fury, it's business as usual. They've moved a couple pieces around on the left-hand side. Oliveira dropping back a little bit, pushing out Elijah Reed up top. But the biggest thing for them is, again, they want to sit back and they're going to stay compact and try and explode and go the other direction. But you don't want to be too predictable in your actions. Indy 11 will pounce on that.
This is an Ottawa team that looks to their center backs as part of the spine that leads the group. And Colin Falvey makes his return to Indianapolis. He was the captain of the side that had a wonderful run in NASL, 54 appearances with Indy 11 before moving on to Ottawa. He has been a USL Defensive Player of the Year previously in Charleston, and he's won trophies in each of his last 4 pro clubs. And he's back home here tonight. And already we've heard, we love you, Colin, coming from the supporters section. Anytime you come home, it means a lot. For this Ottawa team, they're going to try and not only use that in a positive fashion, but if they get a result tonight, all of a sudden they're right back in the thick of things.
So that's the biggest thing. You know, when you look at the Eastern Conference, everything is so tight-knit. In the West, it is strung out. I mean, you see guys up top, 35, 37 points, and then you start to make your way down the playoff picture. It doesn't exist. In the East, it is so close. And we talked about Indy 11 moving their way up. Ottawa Fury, through everything that they've been through, they're only 7 points back right now of Indy 11. So that's the thing. They have the opportunity to continue to move up. And here's one more point about Indy 11. Talked about their win versus Nashville. Great 3 points. Penn FC, they get 1 point. Nashville came out, they got a victory. So in the span of that 2 games sitting level right now, they've really only gained a point on Nashville. All the more reason to continue to push forward.
Big game here tonight in the Eastern Conference. USL Game of the Week underway on ESPNU. Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Now Watson pushes it through. It's the Army camo jerseys for Indy 11 on the night. The white jerseys for the road Canadian side. So Bassi commits the foul. Former USL champion in Rochester. McInerney nods it back. Service cut across, nobody home. Crépeau lets this fly out. What a story, this Ottawa Fury defense. And let's look to Maxime Crépeau to have just a tremendous month of May. Something Carl Wazinski did in June, shut out all opposition for a full month.
He's definitely solidified in the back, for sure, and you've seen the goals against average below 1. The 6 shutouts you've referenced, that was absolutely an amazing streak that he brought in. And look, Ottawa has slowly gotten better. You and I were talking about this, about kind of what the thought process was coming in for Popovich, and he kind of took a look and they wanted to play the ball, they wanted to move it around. That hasn't been the case. You know, they quite rapidly realized they weren't able to do that. Okay, back to the drawing board. Let's throw out every tackle that we have and start over. And they've done that, so they've really started from scratch. But look, slowly finding their rhythm back into this league. And they're showing they're getting good results. And for them, they just want to keep pushing. But look, everybody knows now that you're a sit-and-counter team. If that's your bread and butter, you better make sure you stick to it, because now you've become predictable. And there are plenty of teams out there that are capable of doing it, but you got to do it consistently.
Starikov dispossessed. Watson lines in to find a bit of a pick. Watson rushing in and lobbing it forward. Spies toward the back post. McInerney's there. He pops it up. Full spin from Edward. Crépeau will pick it up.
This is a good challenge by Eddie Edward. The recognition of the trailing runner and McInerney left. McInerney has to do better in this situation, though. His first touch fails him a little bit, pops up, and then has trouble recovering. Gives Eddie Edward the opportunity to track back and get into the 50-50. But you can see right off the bat, Indy pushing numbers forward, trying to stifle this defense.
Edward floating field. Starikov. Watson and now Venegas. Obasi. Back to Obasi again. Watson trying to pour in. Intercepted by Indy 11. Dangerous challenge with the cleats up. And a whistle against Benella.
Chris Manella giving our head referee a little finger wave. Doesn't really agree with the decision in that situation, but regardless, referee setting a tone here. I'm gonna call a tight-knit one so far. And a dangerous situation for sure. Indy 11, again, we talked about Suni Saad and his ability to hit set pieces, and then we've seen it from Iose as well, but really to put on goal from here, something swung in the back post and just let a trailing runner.
Venegas bounces down inside the 18, just took a little bit of a hop, and now the whistle blows, it'll go the other way. Martin Rennie, Scottish native. He was in no hurry to join our conversation this week because England was busy winning in penalties in the World Cup.
Can you blame him?
Not at all. Not at all.
I promise, Martin, we weren't watching while you were watching. we were just asking the questions.
Oliveira. Along by Falvey. Howarth, longest tenure man for the club. Mark Dixon in on the challenge, wins it for Ottawa. Juan Garrett doesn't seem to agree. Backing into space, Starikov. Dangerous guy, can create and can score it himself. He's running down the middle, Venegas. Starikov, thrown to ground and a foul. Jamar Dixon. And a free kick. Indy 11 team that's known to strike from here.
Jamar Dixon definitely comes in and gets stuck in from behind, and this is an unnecessary foul. You've got numbers right in front of you. Just throws his weight around a little bit too much. It's a good press from Indy 11 as well. And interestingly enough, they are keeping Ben Spies and Starkov up top in that 4-4-2 situation. Haven't really seen Spies employed in that area on a regular basis, but in this opportunity right now, this is dangerous territory. Again, Suni Saad not in the 11 tonight. He is on the bench. McInerney, you see him walking away. Watch for Iose to step up and have a crack.
Venegas placing the ball. He scored a couple games back against Toronto FC2. Iose scored from all over the place. Iose knocks it well out of play.
Poor from that distance. We've seen much better out of him in the past, and you expect more. Again, in a lot of games, you're not going to get opportunities in that situation, yet alone a gift in the opening 10 minutes of this game. So it's always one of those things that goes back to at least put something on frame. Give yourself an opportunity to test the goalkeeper. Crépeau, we know the form that he's been in as of late. Keep him on his toes, you know, make him move around the box a little bit. Iose's got to do better.
Blasted away by Mayor Giguère. And Indy 11 go back to work. 5 games unbeaten. They've scored 11 goals in that span after scoring just 9 in their first 10. As McInerney was trying to sneak in behind. Collision with Guerra. Watson knots it upfield. Dixon spinning out of pressure. Jose and Howarth all the way to the byline. And an extra challenge from Howarth. Howarth will go into the referee's book. It's a yellow card, and Jack McInerney, who's never backed down from a fight before, hanging in the middle of it all too. Second yellow card of the year for the Ottawa Fury captain.
Yeah, there's no reason for him to step in here. You get frustrated by the little tussle you've got down in the corner, 2-man game, and you see he slows down a little bit. Jose does a good job getting back, but I get it. Puts his hands on you, you get a little bit frustrated. But look, again, you're opening 10 minutes of the game. Keep an eye on that. We've seen that a few times this year between teams in the USL where a blatant, terrible yellow card early on in the game has come back to haunt them. That's the last thing you want from Howarth. He's frustrated. He's going to go into the book right away.
Look at Indy last game. They end up getting a 1-1 draw with Penn FC, but Carl Ouimet picked up 2 yellow cards in that game that easily could have gone the wrong way for Indy 11.
Yeah, in that situation, Ouimet had something similar where he kind of gave up one that wasn't necessarily as bad as what we just saw, but a little frivolous on his end still. And then comes back, picks up the second one, and you just as a center back, you got to be smarter than that.
Oliveira going in on Carlisle Mitchell. And perhaps at the 10-minute mark, this game's already getting a little bit chippy. Venegas chests it down and goes to work on Abassi. Wonderful one-on-one defense. This time it's Adonijah Reed who's fouled, the 18-year-old who netted a hat trick against New York Red Bulls 2 a couple weeks ago.
And how pretty all three were. I mean, it's interesting. Again, you never know what you're going to get from John Wolyniak and New York Red Bull 2. They like to press and high-powered offense, and there's times where it's hard to get over midfield, and there's other times where it seems like the floodgates just open and they allow you to do whatever you want.
There's that matchup again. Howarth drives into the middle, back toward Oliveira, and intercepted. Starikov in a big collision in from behind. Referee might well have a decision to make. That's Falvey. We used to have supporters in the section at the other end. That may be changing.
Another rough challenge coming in from Ottawa. And you can see right away, Falvey coming right over the back, and Ben Spee's doing a good job trying to hold up play. See the interchange of he and Starkov. Starkov dropping back a little bit on the right tactically, but you see he receives the ball, brings it into him, and Falvey does come over the back a little bit. You can see the tone, pushing heavy for the visitor squad early on. A couple rough tackles here.
And Indy 11 goes to work on the restart, a group that's conceded just 149 fouls. That's the lowest number in the USL. Leon game certainly hasn't played that way. Russin, who's into the starting lineup for the suspended Ouimet, and now Mitchell. McInerney, who moves central to get a touch on the ball. Ripped away by Dixon. Help with Manella. A little more space for Tony Taylor to run into. Russin ushers this out. Over 10,000 expected tonight at Lucas Oil Stadium. Home opener this year drew over 17,000. And Indy 11 telling us during the week that they've begun to find their home field advantage a little bit. This is not where they played in past years. They love being here. It's a great facility, but the confines of the field do sort of make things a little bit different.
Martin Rennie told us, obviously, you kind of have to play the hand that you're dealt, and they're grateful for this opportunity, but I'll tell you, Mike, they have to kind of solidify this as a home field advantage. You know the great resonance in this community that it's given you. Obviously a hostile environment. You can hear the fans. They put on a groat show every single time, but they're better on the road. I mean, they're just simple. Their performance, their statistics, all the metrics come into play. They go on the road, they do a better job. So Martin Rennie has to keep his boys fresh and make sure they're on their P's and Q's when they step into this home environment, because look, this is such an awesome opportunity to take advantage of.
Bossy taking his time to throw in. Reed goes to ground, and Venegas carries the ball away from the tussle. Reed's come to take it back. Reed cutting by Matern. Rivera dispossessed. Bossy's been the central figure so far in this one. By Starikoff, one of the two forwards tonight for Indy 11, defending 15 yards away from his own end line. Problem is, this is not where Ottawa is at their best.
No, this is the last position you actually want to be in. You want to have space in front of you and be able to kind of explode going forward. But Indy 11's smart. They're going to sit and kind of play the same game that Ottawa is. They've done their homework. They know that when Ottawa pushes over a half field, when they've got space in front of them, but the defense is compact, it's really difficult for them to break things down. So much so that if you go back and look at the FC Cincinnati game, they almost didn't know what to do. They only knew how to go in transition. So if the ball was turned over or they had possession of it right around midfield, you could see Cincy dropped back, compacted themselves, and then they had trouble getting forward. Still seeing balls floated up top by the left back, by Obasi, and then on the other side, Eddie Edward. There was no need for that.
And there is that long ball. Reed, collision, fair play, kicked out by Russ, and Ian Mitchell weren't on the same page. Ironically, Nikola Popovic, coming from Swope Park Rangers, the back-to-back Western Conference champion, lead the league in passes now, led last year in passes. Ottawa at the very bottom of the standings in passes. It's a very different look as the whistle blows with Watson going to ground. Boy, Kevin Broadley, you can hear him screaming stop to everybody on the field with the extra physicality early.
There's some heavy challenges coming in for sure, and Oliveira just turns it over, and as they start to go the other direction, Ottawa making their way back and getting stuck in. But again, almost on cue, as we were getting ready to play that, talk about the movement of the ball and playing it in, you see this long ball floated in, 3 Indy 11 defenders standing around 1 player for Ottawa up top. Even if he brings it down, is he going to beat all 3? That's where they need to kind of understand the tactics that are being employed to them. Martin Rennie knows what he's doing. Popovic knows how to counteract that. It's just going to take a couple minutes for him to figure out what pawns he's going to move.
Watson, negative touch. Dixon in pursuit. Russin. Now there's space up the left-hand wing. And continuing on, still inside the 18, the shot is saved by Crépeau. Jose pushing into the Ottawa half.
And this is a dimension we haven't talked about with Iose so far. Talked about him on the set pieces, and we saw one strike earlier on, but how about this? Nice little movement on the left-hand side, and that's going to be a fun matchup to watch. What is Eddie Edward going to do when he's in transition, dealing with that outside back of Iose? Needs to put something a little bit across the top of the box. I like the shot, but had a trailing runner.
First shot on target of the match, and now on the ensuing corner, big collision. Crépeau is down, working his way back to his feet. Went diving out for that ball. He's not the only one who took a knock.
Good Good stuff by Crépeau, recognizing McInerney and just kind of helping the boys settle down a little bit. It's a good challenge by the goalkeeper, and he has every right to step up into that position and throw his body weight around a little bit. Referee just protecting him, rightfully so, right at the top of his 6.
Nikola Popovic's team absorbing a little bit of pressure here. 19th minute of play in the USL game of the week. Happy Independence Day, or in Canada they call it Wednesday. Ottawa and Indy on level terms. Ottawa below the playoff line. Indy 11 with a win to move level on points with Pittsburgh in the top 4. Giguère. Bossy misfires. Venegas. Hit collision behind the ball.
Kevin Broadley definitely has his hands full, and he's doing the right thing. He's blowing the whistle. He's telling guys that we're not going to let you play, and that's Adonijah Reed getting stuck in a little bit late on Kevin Venegas on just a follow-through. And again, another silly foul. There's no reason to step in. I like the intensity and I like the thought process, but at the same point in time, referee's already calling a strict game. More than happy to throw a yellow card up at you right away. As a player, you have to be smarter in those situations.
Adonijah Reed will go into the book for that. Venegas, the 6-year loon, Minnesota United. Slowly running his way up the field and slapping hands with Reed along the way. Wine Fonda Williams drives it across the halfway line. Watson there first. Kara giving chase. Howarth. Heavy touch. Venezuelan collects. Howarth stabs it away. Starikov goes in hard. Watson. Chance to get out in transition. Reed with some pace, and Mitchell heads it over the touch. Edward misfires. Now some space for Spies. Ball cut across 18. Venegas is possessed. Abassi. Kara with Starikov. Most convincing clearance, but now Oliveira. Howarth cutting his run inside Russ and cuts it off.
Oh, it's a good idea. That's where Ottawa's at its best, in that transitional moment.
All ahead for Starikov. He and Obasi after it. It's an odd hop off the turf. So too does Starikov. And the overlap wasn't there from Venegas. Select is the official soccer ball of the United Soccer League. The latest Select products and special offers. You can visit selectsportamerica.com. See free shipping on orders over $50.
So interestingly enough, Mike, in the opening 23 minutes from Indy 11, We're told it's a 4-4-2. We go with that, and they start off in that manner. But the fluidity that is Martin Rennie and his ever-changing formation has crept back into play. They are definitely in a 4-1-4-1. You see Matern sitting in that holding midfielder spot, being complemented by the likes of Matt Watson and Wongera. And then on the right side, Starkov, we already saw him kind of sitting a little bit over there, but then jumping up top a little bit. Interestingly enough, Ben Spies is kind of rotating to the backside as well. The two of them interchanging. We saw that a lot of Indy 11 earlier this year, where you'd get Suni Saad or Starkov or any Nathan Lewis as well and Justin Braun. Didn't really matter where they were because they were always evolving. You'd see him on the left, on the right, in the middle, constantly taking shape in different directions. Martin Rennie actually told us that he liked the idea of them sitting a little bit more because the chemistry started to develop, especially between Ayoze and Suni Saad on the left. But again, that funnels over everywhere else in the squad. So shaking things up a little bit here tonight, but it's been frustrating for Ottawa.
Saad available tonight with an oblique injury. Set up in training about 10 days ago. Out by Watson, danger not totally dealt with. Oliveira. Guerra in after it. Dixon. There's Giguère. Falvey trying to play Tony Taylor. He's in an offside position. Taylor experience with the Panamanian national team, NYCFC for a couple of years. Those guys with good speed to try and threaten Juan Williams. And here comes some pressure from Ottawa. Oliveira tugged from behind. Yellow card to Guerra.
It's a little bit heavier than I thought it would be. But again, referee's calling a tight game here, so at least it's par for the course. The worst thing you want to see is a ref who's kind of leaning over in this direction and then tugs a little bit more over here. So although maybe this isn't the best decision by our referee, Guerra gets his pocket picked a little bit by Kevin Oliveira. At least he's calling it even for both sides.
Third yellow card issued in the opening 25+ minutes. Marked long by Falvey, overshot everybody. Mitchell. Well, we do know that Indy 11 has had a love-hate relationship with the press. In this case, they love it for the moment, hate it at the end. Nella, Howarth, two good touches to keep this in play. Ayoze. You're applauding someone's class next to me.
I'm applauding Ayoze. I mean, that's just good old-fashioned ingenuity and understanding the situation you're in. Holding the ball up, just playing it off him and reset.
Oh, foul just outside the area. Tony Taylor brought down.
This is really, really close. I mean, that was real close to being on the spot. You can see right just outside the 18. Kevin Oliveira and his right foot loves to get involved in situations like this, but the angle is going to be so difficult to put something on frame. And again, you're in such close proximity to Juan Williams. It's hard to get a ball up and down that quick to loft something. This is where the cleverness of what goes on in the training park, maybe a step over and something rolled in right around the penalty mark.
Maybe the best look for Ottawa early in this game. Kevin Oliveira lines it up, and it's in the goal, an own goal from Carlisle Mitchell. He absolutely scuffed it, and Indy 11 fall behind.
This stadium is stunned. They cannot believe what just went down in front of their eyes. Sure enough, Oliveira keeping it low. It's not a bad ball, but it's inside the 6. Where's the communication between the guys on the back line? Fawn Williams doesn't push towards the ball, doesn't exert himself, and you just said Carlisle Mitchell makes an absolute mess of it. That's going to be very frustrating for Indy 11. Did a good job pretty much dictating the pace in the opening 28 minutes, only to fall behind in a manner such as that.
Ottawa this year has 3 own goals against them. We were talking about that with their head coach, Nikola Popovic. He said, we're trying to be like the World Cup with their 10 own goals so far. Finally, one goes their way. Now Indy have to play from behind. Reed, advantage played in favor of Indy. Watson, how quick could this response be? Starikov trying to get in behind. Deflects off of Falvey for a throw. Well, credit to the Brickyard Battalion. They've woken up again, but that is as quiet as this building's ever been. Counter is coming. Ottawa at their finest. Taylor. Tony Taylor off of Russin, and Oliveira frustrated. He was making a run.
He should be screaming at the top of his lungs for that. And if Tony Taylor didn't hear him, I mean, most of us could hear him. that was loud, and it's a great break again from the visiting squad. You see him going forward. The run is developing on the backside. Mitchell just out in la-la land. Now remember, the outside backs from Indy 11, Iose and Kevin Venegas, like to get high up the pitch. That's why the counterattack is so difficult to deal with in transition. You're basically having your 2 center backs pull the strings as everybody comes in transition. But I like to go back to what you said, Mike. What's the response going to be from both squads, to be fair? Because this could be a catalyst to push Ottawa forward and jumpstart their energy a little bit. They've been lulled, to say the least, in the opening 30 minutes. Indy 11, again, carrying most of the possession, but now you've gone behind. What sort of character do you have behind you?
30 minutes gone. Russin defends the long ball. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, USL Game of the Week on ESPNU. Indy 11 and Ottawa Fury meeting for the 10th time in their franchise history. It's the first time in the United Soccer League. Ottawa going ahead on an own goal in the 28th minute and looking for more. Oliveira slipping it through, plenty of contact. It's Tony Taylor running over the defender, Russin.
That's good stuff by the center back, though. Brad Russin understanding the threat, coming in centrally, and does a good job positioning himself appropriately to get his body in between Tony Taylor and the ball that's being played in. Taylor throwing his weight around a little bit.
Well, remarkably, even with the roof closed, it's still very hot in Indianapolis, and a chance for a hydration break. When we spoke with both coaches, it became clear that whichever team made better of their possession would have a chance to win this game. That sounds obvious, but for Ottawa, they didn't make the best of their possession much of this game, and they still have a lead on that own goal.
It never hurts to have Lady Luck in your corner either. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. Martin said that as well, that look, sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way. You're also on the fortuitous end of that, and recently in that streak that they've had, 5 unbeaten, you've seen some things bounce in the right direction. I mean, let's jump back last week versus Nashville. They sat back, they had everything thrown at them. Nashville carried all the possession, and yet they were able to counter 3-4 times and get 2 goals out of it. Sometimes that's all it takes. Ottawa's sitting in a similar situation here this evening, albeit hasn't really gone forward very impressively, but you can see after the goal, they've had 2 opportunities to get down in the final third.
That's a full 12-piece band by my count. Devin, inquiring minds want to know, Joey Chestnut can drop just over 60 hot dogs. How many can you?
Well, apparently they went down and did a recount, and he finished off at 74. 74.
That's a record.
I'd be lucky to get in 7 or 4. I mean, in a 10-minute time frame, are you kidding me?
The ESPN family of networks has had a busy couple of days here, the 4th of July, and ultimately the roof opening up, and the windows open. Indianapolis, what a gorgeous home.
Not exactly sure that's on the wedding diet either.
74 hot dogs? Not for you, Chief.
Any hot dogs.
All right, here we go. Ottawa leading 28th minute own goal from Indy 11's Carlisle Mitchell, but a long way to go. And an Indy 11 side that went down in their most recent game against Penn FC and still found a way to come back and finish level, despite being down a man. Steered clear by Falvey. McInerney returns to Ioze. These two personify class. Return has found Starikov. Diagonal ball. Cuts inside, and he's found Venegas now, who cuts it across. Watson! Off by Crépeau on the dive.
This is better ball movement from Indy 11. Venegas getting down to the byline, trying to cut it back, and I actually like the crashing run. Option by McInerney on the far post. Again, might have to put a little bit of air underneath it, but the opportunity was there. And again, getting those outside backs in transition for Indy 11, so vital to their offense going forward. I want to keep an eye on the middle of the pitch too. You've got the guys with Nico Matern, who obviously sits very deep. He likes to kind of pull the strings a little bit, the puppeteer who pushes things left and right for them going forward. And then you've got Watson and Guerra. If Watson and Guerra can open themselves up just a little bit with some interchanging runs, it's going to start to really confuse the center of the park for Ottawa. And you can see it as the space starts to open up. You can see them switching guys, but it's very linear. It's a simple switch. It's right holding midfielder to the right back. That's easy to do. Now, what happens when Guerra and Watson start interchanging and maybe dropping a little bit to help Matern out? Gives you an opportunity for combination play. And look, we've seen Ottawa go in transition. Indy is very capable of that as well, but you need to be able to break things down in the final third if you're Indy 11. They're capable of doing that, but they really haven't done it consistently. I mean, again, we jump back, but it's in recent memory and it's relevant. Look what they did last week versus Nashville.
Starikov. Way too much room out here for Ioze. Crépeau dives down, does not allow the rebound with a couple of players sniffing on the doorstep.
It's a clever quick ball over to Ioze and never really threatening to Crépeau. Starikov wants that ball out in front of him. Good save from the goalkeeper. And you know, it's funny, we talk about Indy holding possession. Crépeau really hasn't been tested that much either.
Howarth ran in to an Indy 11 wall. Starikov played well down the middle. Spies. Reed. A clever first move. Reed. Too far for Taylor. Latch on. The USL's official Twitter feed keeps you up to date. News, live game updates, and highlights from around the league 24/7. Follow @USL on Twitter. Like Fun Williams will reconsider things. McInerney back for Ioze. Penetrating the left flank, Eddie Edward. Whistled for the foul. Dangerous neck of the woods here for Indy 11.
It's smart play by Guerra. Very, very smart. The ball gets played in by Ioze, and it's going to have a little bit of English on it, checking back on this pitch. And as the ball comes through, he just holds his body up a little bit, forces the defender to push his weight into him, gaining the opportunity to go to ground. And that sounds crazy that you want to gain that opportunity, but it really is smart because other passing lanes are closed down, and all you're doing is giving your team a chance from a dead ball situation to put something on net.
Iose, the cultured left foot of the Spaniard. Iose, and a good look for Starikov, still alive. Headed out in front of bicycle kick. McInerney can't put it in. Now the slide kept by Crépeau. Wonderful from Crépeau. And McInerney nearly cycling Indy back into the game.
This is a dangerous ball whipped in, and you can see the second chance. McInerney goes for magic, but Crépeau is absolute class. Drifting off his line a little bit, makes a great first save, then steps up and gets the second opportunity as well. That shows you right there why they made the change in between the pipes.
Last year was all Callum Irving. This year a lot more Maxime Crépeau. He's been phenomenal. Out of the way by Matern. Dixon. There's Crépeau now. Has allowed just 13 goals this year. This is 15th start. Reed. I think Taylor. It's Reed again. By Fawn Williams. Well, Watson couldn't corral that Reed. And it caught a bit between his feet. Guerra collects. Well, disorganized from Indy 11 out of the back.
You can see Ottawa carrying a little bit higher of a line defensively, trying to press a little bit here. You and I have made references in the past about Martin Rennie's squad and their ability to handle that on a regular basis. Red Bull too, and both Bethlehem Steel employing that pretty consistently, causing frustration for Indy 11.
Howarth forcing his way into the equation and tapped out by Mitchell. Oh, Howarth may be on the wrong end of this. Mitchell jumping back up. He's with Martin Rennie in Vancouver and in the Korean League. Howarth trots away.
How about Howarth? And it does get the tiniest little touch coming off of Mitchell, but referee's giving a goal kick in that situation. Howarth very unfortunate. And you saw Mitchell getting up a little gingerly in that situation and kind of working his way back into the back line. The last thing Martin Rennie needs is another switch to happen in the center of his defense.
No Carl Ouimet. Rainier Ferreira is one of the best defenders in the second division last year in the U.S. and isn't available again today. They do bring back Tyler Pasher, and that's going to open things up. He's available tonight, at least in the fullback positions.
We can only speculate exactly what direction Martin Rennie would go there. I mean, obviously you're going to take either one of your backs and push him inside. I doubt you'd like to see Iose playing in a center back position, but Tyler Pasher obviously capable of stepping in, and the two of them, good chemistry. You could also grab one of your holding midfielders and drop them back a little bit, but again, hopefully there was just hearsay at this point in time. Mitchell's going to be able to persevere through that.
Kevin Broadley brings this back. Jack McInerney's chagrin. Giguère. Well, Falvey simply said, fantastic memories, just good to be back. Plays it long for Taylor. Taylor squaring up. Howarth was running the same marathon he was. Exclusive video content and photography from across the USL when you follow the league's official Instagram account at USL Soccer. Reed couldn't quite combine there. Another throw for Ottawa in the final 90 seconds plus stoppage of the first half. Felt like they were a little slow at the outset against FC Cincinnati last time out, a 2-0 loss. Group that's road weary to say the least. Taylor, Reed. Reed against Watson. Between three and play on. Carlisle Mitchell in there on the challenge. Howarth commits the foul as Ayoze pirouettes to ground.
It's good movement from an Adajna coming at the top of the box and weaving his way through the back line. Again, they've really had some trouble in transition dealing with this Ottawa offense, but unfortunately just right at the end, everybody steps in, closes the lane down. Tries to take advantage of his weight falling over a little bit, but you can see Indy 11 struggling to say the least, especially in the latter 10-15 minutes. Everything has changed since that own goal.
Off that of Oliveira. Player down behind, and the athletic trainer will make his way on. Spees is reaching for his head. College Cup MVP at the University of North Carolina. Went to CVCA in the Cleveland area, on to Akron, transferred to Chapel Hill. Time with Minnesota United and Columbus. Leading a line for it. An Indy group, to be frank, actually has a lot of options off the bench at halftime. Another look at what happened here. Ian Mayer Giguère.
Yeah, no malintent there. Not whatsoever. Just stepping up, two guys going for the ball. His momentum drifting back a little bit, catches the back right side of his head. But you're right, Mike. There's definitely a lot of options for Martin Rennie, especially if he wants to make a change going forward. We know what's there. I mean, loads of talent. My concern is Carlisle Mitchell okay? You know, there's already a disconnect there. I don't know if he's out of his element because his playing partner, Carl Ouimet, is out due to suspension. Russin has handled himself for the most part. Hasn't really been challenged much. They've definitely steered clear of the left side. Most of it's been interchanging play on the left between Adonijah Reed and Kevin Oliveira. But something's got to change back there because what you're seeing is not what they're about. They're better than that.
Midway point of first half stoppage. Spees is returned as if shot out of a cannon. Chipped away from Taylor. Starikov, challenge on Oliveira.
Good technical stuff from Kevin Oliveira on the near touchline here, and this is a nice little opportunity just before half. See, not many players from Ottawa pushing up, but Oliveira
found his initial target. Oliveira's going to get a better look at this in the run of play. Oliveira crossing. There's nobody there.
There was no one on the set piece. There's no one on the ball played into the box. And you have to wonder for a player mentally, what are you doing in that situation? Because you know better. You look up, no one's there. Don't just play a ball because you think someone's supposed to be on the end of it. Obviously, you're trying to prove a point to your teammates, but that's a good opportunity wasted.
How many times we've seen Adonijah Reed cutting inside and have nobody to play with, interchange with, around the 18-yard box. It's been a big Ottawa problem in this first half. And yet, it's the own goal that proves the difference. And at the midway point, surely they'll feel like they've walked away with a gift. Referee blows for halftime. Ottawa has a lead, seemingly, Devin, against all odds.
There's going to be some interesting conversations at halftime for Indy 11 and Martin Rennie. He's not going to be happy with his boys defensively, giving up too much space, and the goal was just absolutely horrendous. But look, for Ottawa on the road, what a gift. I mean, just continue to push through because, look, again, sometimes we talked about Lady Luck. Karma comes back around. You're seeing that in full force here tonight for Ottawa. Not a load of excellent play going forward, but up 1-0 nonetheless.
Craig Poe, fantastic tonight on an American birthday. And for Ottawa, it's one truly lucky effort that helps highlight all the hard work of the half that was. We'll talk D3 and a look at the Eastern Conference when we come back. Back in the USL Game of the Week on ESPNU, Lucas. Back in the USL Game of the Week on ESPNU, Lucas Oil Stadium, the site is Indy 11 and Ottawa Fury at halftime. Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings, and beneath these standings right now is Ottawa, but right in the thick of things, Indy 11, when you look at 3 through 10, not a big difference right now, Devin.
It is really clustered together, a stark difference than what we see in the Western Conference. But look, we've seen some runs from Penn FC, John Wolyniak and Red Bull 2. They come out, they can put up 4 or 5 goals, but then they go home and they lose. You can't figure it out. The constants have been FC Cincinnati and Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They go get the job each and every week. But if you look at that cluster, 3 to 7, a lot of teams really struggling as of late. Look at Louisville City, Charleston Battery, Charlotte Independence. And for the Battery, if it wasn't for their most recent victory, they'd be winless as well. So that's given Indy 11 the opportunity to rise up through the ranks of the Eastern Conference, sitting right in that spot, nipping on the heels of everybody above them.
Well, it's been said, families are always rising and falling in America and maybe perhaps in Canada too. Important midweek match in the USL Game of the Week. Plenty more action to come. First half highlights and a look at USL Division III's newest expansion founding member. Coming up after this on ESPNU. Back in the USL game. Hi.
Hey. What are
Hello.
we doing? Okay. Yeah, I saw it. I don't see it again. I don't see it now, but I saw it before.
Sure. Who shed that? Hawthorne.
Do you want me to turn more or no? Okay. I'm just going by the marks, that's all. I see it. Forward towards Michael or forward towards the camera? Yeah, it's really bad. I see it.
No, you look great.
No, look right now.
I know. I know.
Okay.
Halftime of our United Soccer League game of the halftime of our United Soccer League game of the week on ESPNU. Game 2 of our 6 linear games on ESPN networks over the months of June, July, and August. This coming to you from Indianapolis, Indiana. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, let's look at some USL news and notes. June was all about the offense.
Shocking to believe because every single team has had to deal with the craziest of schedules, going on the road, dealing with the heat. So you expect things to kind of die down a little bit, but the offense have actually been in high power for every single team out there. Most recently, Ottawa. Look, we've spoken about them and their ability to get forward, especially on the counterattack. They've only got 15 goals overall. They've got 8 in their last 5.
And you look at Louisville City, a 3-3 draw against New York Red Bulls, too, as they say goodbye their only head coach in franchise history. James O'Connor is off to Orlando. He's going to start his new job at LAFC against former Louisville City player Mark Anthony Kaye. Meanwhile, TFC2 is one of the 5 founding members currently of USL Division 3. That was announced this week. They'll have between 12 and 16 teams when they launch in 2019. Tormenta, undefeated, one of 3 teams right now in PDL to hold that distinction. Tucson, owned by Phoenix Rising, really well known. This is just the beginning.
Obviously, the expansion is great for everything involved in this culture in the United States, and it goes to show you've already referenced one other team in Phoenix Rising, but the ability for USL clubs to make that kind of common thought process with communities and the league itself, it's just a great thing for growth in and around this country, and you're only going to see more of it as it continues down this path.
And you'll see a lot of growth in the month of July for USL Division 3. More announcements to come, as well as for the USL. Tonight, the USL Game of the Week continues on. Highlights and stats from the first half when we return on ESPNU. Hey.
Okay. Okay. And if we do go on camera, just cut the audio. Por favor.
Yeah.
It's still there.
That'd be nice.
That's really bad.
Oh.
That's better.
Been told I look like a tomato, but not like a grape.
Like Violet Beauregard.
Okie doke. And that. We should air that. I like this.
Where are you going here? Just questions about what they're going to do, change, anything like that?
If that's sort of the direction you want to hit.
No, whatever you want. I mean, I have bullet points that I've got, but I figured you want to start with Indy.
Yeah.
Look, talk about. I'm just gonna be like, look, like Ottawa's gonna sit. You're gonna get a load of opportunities in a final third.
Yeah.
Your craft has to be better, or your counter has to be quicker. Your 2 best chances have kind of offset pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to find a way to get it done. And then for Ottawa going the other way, there's no reason to step away from your livelihood. Obviously, your counter is good. Just stick with that. But defensively, you're going to stand fast and get ready because Martin Rennie's a tactician. He's going to make changes, try and exploit you guys going forward and coming back the other way.
And being up a goal is basically Ottawa's dream, right?
Yeah.
I mean, once you're up by 1, the way they want to play.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
golden. Yeah. You're in a lose-lose situation right now.
Yeah.
Assuming you don't give up something in the opening 5 minutes.
So, yeah. So let's start with Indy, and they need to be more clinical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. And I'll roll right through?
Yeah.
Cool.
And if highlights start, we'll just roll with it.
Okay.
You know, that pocket square is nice, but no room in here.
You got to open it up.
Nobody home. Oh, no. No. Not opening that up.
Not now, no. You need. So I'll transition between Indy and Ottawa.
Yeah.
When I stop Ottawa, we'll go.
First
We'll
half
obviously get stats, we'll highlights, and you'll start. Okay.
See.
Reminder to cut the audio, Sharn.
She knows. She can hear us, right?
Is she going to cut our audio? Because. Thank you.
Looking at Lucas Oil Stadium, USL Game of the Week rolls on. Indy 11 in the top 8. Ottawa Fury trying to find that form to get in there. They've got the lead at halftime. We welcome you into our booth alongside former German pro Devin Kerr. Mike Watts alongside. And boy, in that first half, Indy needs to be more clinical if they're going to find a way through this Ottawa side.
We saw the 2 pieces, like the best chances came off set pieces. So obviously not real much for them to write home about going forward. But look, their opportunity to get into the final third and break down Ottawa are going to be a lot more prevalent in the second half. So they got to figure out how to tone their craft a little bit more. For Ottawa Fury, there's no reason to change. You're up a goal. You've got a dream start on the road at Lucas Oil. stick with your livelihood. Continue to go in that direction. But look, defensively, you're going to have to stand fast. Martin Rennie is a tactician. He knows how to get things done. He's going to make some changes, albeit personnel or tactics, and get back to business. It's going to be an interesting second half.
Indy always has an ace or two up the sleeve. Let's take a look at first half highlights from this affair. And this is an Indy 11 team that we know can score and at times made Maxime Crépeau's life pretty difficult.
Jose Garza was really active in the opening 45, but albeit the first 20-25 minutes was really where we saw his streaky play. We saw some stuff down into the channel, obviously from the set pieces. Crépeau time and time again stepping up, making solid saves. And then this, the abysmal effort by Mitchell clearing off the back line, and this is going to be one that he's going to look back on in his career in general. And what are you doing? Ball comes across, get a boot on it. He's going for glory and goal, and he finds it.
28th minute own goal against Indy 11, and yes, you can celebrate if you're Ottawa. You've got a 1-goal lead, and well, that's when Indy 11 started to turn things on again and make Crépeau's life really difficult. Venegas getting inside. This pops up a bit. Watson on the volley.
Exactly what I'm talking about going in transition. Now, you're not always going to be able to play a ball on the dime 40 yards across the pitch, but it's a good one into Star Cup, and he reads it very well. Now a ball into Venegas, gets to the byline, played back. It started to open up for them, Indy, towards the end of the first half, and you saw it. They started to exploit the space a little bit more. The ball, again, though, the best chance from set piece, started over. It's a second and third ball played back out. McInerney is just super smart here, contorts his body, goes for glory, but Crépeau comes up with a great stop.
Just barely scoops that out. That ball aimed towards his feet. In the end, play going the other way as Eddie Edward goes down near the goal line. Jack McInerney's got a nose for goal and has been known for this spectacular, but Crépeau up to the task in the opening 45 minutes. As we near this second half of play, Indy 11 team that is putting their 5-game unbeaten streak on the line here. A group that had a chance for 4 consecutive wins and watched it go by the wayside. And for Ottawa, the quintessential Canadian team going on the road on Independence Day, this is a group, Devin, with 17 Canadians. They love the platform, and they love to go out and show what Canadian soccer can do. You see the flag on the back of their jerseys. They'd love to come away to Indy, get 3 points, and get home for a lengthy homestand. One that'll see them face Toronto FC in the Canadian Championship and a couple of major blue-chip teams. The USL is run away in the second half.
And the pride goes for both teams here. Obviously, you referenced Independence Day, 4th of July for the United States squad in Indy 11. They need to show some pride and character to claw their way back in and just continue on the points that we talked about. And for Ottawa, they take pride on their countrymen and exactly who they have in their roster. You take a look top to bottom, all the players from Canada, and that was a big talking point for Popovich and what he's brought to this squad coming in, getting to select. You notice he didn't bring a boatload of players from Swope Park Rangers. A lot of times you'll see managers kind of cherry pick a little bit. Not the case.
Brought just Kevin Oliveira, 88 in white. Other than that, basically an entirely new team. Julian de Guzman has done a tremendous job as the general manager. And an Ottawa team with a clear Canadian stamp and a group that they feel is building a winning long-term culture. Indy in the camo uniforms on the night. Not the only team introducing a third kit to the equation tonight. I don't know if you saw what San Antonio FC brought to the table. They're looking a little more Phoenix Rising colors than San Antonio, but we'll see them in coming USL games of the week.
I haven't had the pleasure yet. Would they go all black?
No, it's red.
Ooh,
it's red.
Phoenix home.
Yeah.
Wow, that'll be interesting. Gonna have to figure out how to use the, what do you kids call it, the intranet, and figure out exactly how to make my way to that destination.
All right, Gramps. Ottawa trying to attack forward here. Tony Taylor goes to ground. Wonderful from Ottawa to keep this in, but despite the nutmeg, nothing doing. Plenty of pressure coming. Howarth. And now the race is on. There's room to exploit for Iose. McInerney serves it across. It's over Watson. Attack still on, led by Matern. Iose, ever the marksman. Kicked away before it found Spees. Comes Iose again. Ball bounces kindly, Starikov. Oh, McInerney wanted it to his feet. Maybe that was the best look Starikov could have gotten. It's easy for Crépeau.
That's a difficult one to bring down, and he does well with it for sure, but something fun to watch. We saw it happen in the first half, and you can see the connection there in the second half as well. The two outside guys, Starikov and McInerney, doing a good job getting into those channels and playing balls across. Service needs to be a little bit better, but you can see the delivery just lacking a little bit. Starikov in the first half had McInerney, had to get it by Crépeau, decided to go for the net instead, and then just moments ago, McInerney just couldn't get enough air underneath the ball. Starikov trailing on that far post run. If you're Martin Rennie, you want to try and isolate that as much as possible because Ottawa's leaving it open.
Speaking of open, outside his 18, Crépeau. Strong header out of harm's way. Still work to be done. Venegas lost it to Obasi.
Ottawa's got numbers here too if they want to go.
Oliveira left that short. All over the top for McInerney. And it's Indy 11 that comes out being a little more direct against a Ottawa team that so often sits in deep.
And I said to you before we came on, I said if this ends up turning into a track meet, don't be surprised because both squads have the capability. Obviously Ottawa likes to sit and go, but Indy 11, we've seen that from them in the past. We've seen them sit and then decide to counter. Talked about the Nashville game, but they've employed those tactics quite a few times this season. And make no mistake about it, they're capable of holding the ball and methodically moving it up the pitch, but your ability to kind of interchange that start and stop movement starts to keep the other squad second guessing. That's something they need to get to here in the second half.
Edward, ball hopping toward Taylor. Watson, Oliveira. Oliveira again. I mentioned the one player that came from Swope Park, Nikola Popovic. Spent 1 year at the helm of the club, guiding them to the Western Conference title before falling to Louisville City last year. Crossfield ball, and we've seen this with Starikov before. Iose battling into a proper position. On the turn, lost it. Oliveira had shoved him aside.
That's frustrating for Kevin Oliveira because he does a good job letting the play develop in front of him and slowly bides his time on when he can pounce. That was a rough challenge. A little payback for just moments ago. But it's interesting what Ottawa has done so far. They were sitting in like they call it a 4-3-3, 4-1-2-3, and you can see Starikov just repaying the nice gesture a little bit. But you had Manella, who was basically sitting, and then in front of him, you had Oliveira and Jamar Dixon, who would kind of respectively on the right and left push forward a little bit, try and get in overlapping runs, combining with Adonijah Reed and Carl Howarth. Tony Taylor floating a little bit more by himself up top. But what they've started out here in the second half, they've actually dropped Jamar Dixon a little bit deeper to help out the defensive duties for Chris Manella. Not sure if that's going to continue any further. But the ability to dictate play in that manner, that's going to give Indy 11 a little bit more space in the middle of the field. Much more compact in the first half, and you can see they've taken a couple opportunities, but that's up to Watson and Garrow. What are they going to do with that space? Can you come in, get it, push the other way almost immediately to work in behind? The opportunity's there. Where's the execution?
Out across the byline. We'll come back to Crépeau. Crépeau on loan from Montreal. And last year is Callum Irving, who came over from RGV, that proved the most crucial piece defensively for Ottawa. Started every game. Crépeau has come in and just played such a high level. He played with the Canadian side in Gold Cup last year. He's sitting behind Evan Bush. He's a good goalkeeper. The discussion was he needs games. He's running with it now.
Nicola telling us that, they brought him over on loan, and that gives you an idea back there exactly what's going on. Irving isn't even necessarily dictated as the number 2 or number 3 right now. Kind of lost in translation. Started the season off poorly.
McInerney over the top. Guerra arrives, plays it across. Giant push at the back of Starikov. Watson nods it ahead. Oh, this partisan Indy 11 crowd showering some booze down. Oh, the return. Falvey, so often the savior for Indy in years past. The saving touch for Ottawa now.
It's clever from the home squad. Good ball movement, left to right on the pitch. And we just referenced Guerra and Watson. What are they going to do in the middle? But the outside backs in Ioze and Venegas have the same opportunity to exploit that space that's been put in front of them. It's a good step up by the outside back.
Indy on the set piece. Starikov got a touch. This will stay in play. Obasi a bit of a hold there. Won't collect. Kicked away from Russin. McInerney swerves it in front. Watson, goal line drive, takes a long deflection out. Two players collide, and now this ball scorpioned forward into an offside position. Bodies hit the floor, and it'll end up with Ottawa, with Russin coming back to defend.
That's terrible. That's terrible from the referee, because you're giving an obvious advantage where it's not due. Kevin Broadley letting play continue here. The linesman puts his flag up, and our head referee waves him off. And as the ball comes in the other direction, you can see Ottawa just pushing their line forward. That's exactly how they're going to make their money. And the referee gifting them something there a little bit, and now they're awarded with a free kick. Mystifying as to why he doesn't follow the third referee in that situation.
Ottawa aiming up the right-hand side, out of the reach of Howarth. How well do you know the United Soccer League? Test your knowledge in USLsoccer.com's weekly picks competition every Tuesday. You can win tickets to an upcoming USL game of your choice. McInerney strewn aside by Edward, and the center back next to me has his thumb right up.
That's great defending. You can see he just leans to his right, leans left, and play the shake game. McInerney understands exactly what he just pushed down and got himself into. And it's smart. A few words being jostled back and forth between the two. Always good banter. Don't remind me of the USL Weekly Pick'em. I got taken to the cleaners in that one.
Yeah.
I got a little frivolous with my picks.
You were throwing around some serious upsets.
I was on vacation. It might have affected me a little bit. I got a little bit too emotional. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I picked OKC over Phoenix. So
hey, all right.
We were only 3-4 weeks in, but still.
Yeah.
Probably deserve better than that.
Indy 11 is going to grace us with the perennial Sports Center top 10 selection, Soony Saad. Saad, a couple of goals this year. They're just jaw-dropping. Former high school national player of the year, Lebanese national teamer who spent 6 years with Sporting Kansas City. Guy whose agent met with Martin Rennie for the first time when he was coaching in Korea. And the opportunity came along. He's been a leading goal scorer for Indy 11 to this point.
This is going to be interesting what Martin does, because when you bring in the likes of Soony Saad, a lot of times he'll switch the formation and go into a 4-2-3-1, which would allow Matern and Guerra to play alongside each other. And with McInerney and Saad on the pitch at the same time, you might move one of them into the 10 position, let the other one run out left. And only time will tell, but tactically that would make the most sense here. And you see Soony standing right in the middle of the pitch so far. Again, a lot of interchanging play between the guys up top from Indy 11.
Ottawa entering the 18. Slipped through toward Oliveira. Where is Guerra going? Let's get it away from Tony Taylor. Pressure still coming, led by Manella. Abassi. Well, there's room again here. Flag is up for offside against Reed. A boot has been lost in the middle of the field. Action continues. Spees, not that time. Jose throws in, Matern. Two options nearing the back post. Great Paul catches the lob. Reed scooping forward and carrying ahead all the way through the defense and caught by Fun Williams. Reed showing off that highlight reel ability. Spees was the target, but still alive. The turn into the 18. Saad goes down. Play on, says the referee broadly. Shin guard lost by Taylor as he flies the ground.
Things continue this way. We'll have a couple souvenirs at the end of the night. First the boot, then the guard. What a nice pair of socks.
If those come off, I have no idea what happened.
That play definitely opening up here past couple of minutes, and a lot of long balls up underneath. But again, we saw that in the first half where Indy kind of spotted those positions where they could tactically make some movements and make that quick long ball. But if that ball's played across, Iose shouldn't be isolated in that situation.
Wonderful nod back. Guerra, Spees rounding around. Takes a deflection on the way. Crépeau is there. And McInerney circling toward the back door.
The ball makes its way across, and then if it's going to drop on the foot of Iose, and you don't want him to be one-on-one, but if he is, he's got to push that ball right out in front of him and use the momentum of Eddie Edward against him. Edward is already drifting across, so as it comes to you, push it with your shoulder, push it with your head, but push it out in front of you into that standing foot space. It's very difficult for a defender to suddenly shift one way and then turn around and carry pace the other direction. And if that's not there, where's the overlapping run? Or where's the run in behind? The opportunity for them to play together. The interchanging play has to be there.
Nobody home for the 11. Indy game 2 of a 3-game and 8-day homestand. They've got Charlotte Independence, a team right behind them in the standings, on deck on Saturday. And then 3 extraordinarily challenging road games following. All the action on ESPN Plus in the United States. Part of a multi-year agreement with ESPN. Field from Venegas. Taylor brought to ground by Iose, who's gained the captain's armband in Matt Watson's absence.
And we've seen some pretty decent challenges all night long, and that's just Iose getting stuck in a little bit on Tony Taylor. That's very kind of Iose as a defender, remind him that he was still on the pitch and shadowing him for the rest of the evening.
Put in play, the header is stared just wide. It was Tony Taylor diving to ground.
Excellent service from Ottawa, and you see it come in. And how about the marking and lack thereof by, you see Matern and Sunizad, the two of them just caught off balance a little bit. There's no reason whatsoever why Taylor should be in behind all alone in that situation. 67th minute, Ottawa just hanging around, up 1-0, not shying away from the challenge on the road at all.
Iose, mentioned it earlier, Indy 11, 4-1-2 on the road. They're far better on the road statistically than they are at home. Spees, collision in the box, goes unheard. Now the race is on. Reed in pursuit, Mitchell knocks it out. Change coming. Jimmy Sano set to come on. This is 7th appearance, all off the bench. The 21-year-old came out of the Montreal Impact Academy. Howarth checks off.
Not the best performance we've seen from Carl Howarth in the past, and you could just see never really got into the match tonight. That opening foul kind of set the tone for his evening. Choppy play, to say the least. Sano's going to be dangerous for Indy 11. He's going to provide that extra spark to continue to stretch this back line. Just seconds ago in transition, a great opportunity for Ottawa, but Adonijah just not on the same page as what was going on. Loads of space in front of him, but started his run too late. And that's just a communication factor. And again, the lethargicness that we've talked about with all these games compacted together.
Dixon, who's taking the captain's armband the other way. Sano. Well, maybe something here for Oliveira. Steers to Reed. Caroms into the near channel. McInerney drawing what ends up being a yellow card against Eddie Edward. That's his 7th yellow of the year.
Not really sure what Eddie Edward is arguing in this situation. Doesn't have a foot to stand on. Just stepping right in front of him and then arguing against it. What do you expect him to do there, buddy? Another shoe loss, McInerney.
Incredible.
Solid.
It's a yard sale today. Ottawa trying to nurse this lead down the stretch. Got 4 straight home games coming up. They're 5-0-0 when they score first. All 5 of their wins have come by way of shutout. They're hoping that this result, this scoreline is enough as they make a move to bring on Kyle Porter. Spent last year with Tampa Bay.
Adonijah Reed more than happy to oblige and take his time slowly coming off the pitch, just wasting a few more seconds. And this is obviously Popovich just trying to tighten things up defensively a little bit. Kyle Porter primarily deployed in the right back position. He's going to step out and help out. And you can see everybody has shifted back. They have moved out of that 4-3-3 formation.
McInerney, and the shot is on from Spies. It was begging wide of the post. Worth noting that Howarth and Reed were both playing on yellow cards. May have played a bit of a role in Nikola Popovich's decision there.
Absolutely, especially Howarth, who jumped out on the referee's thought process right away, opening 10 minutes. That nasty challenge down in the corner on Ioze.
Oliveira casts aside. Quick restart for Indy 11. Win could do wonders. Their position in the Eastern Conference. One that sees FC Cincinnati ahead of everybody. But Indy, Pittsburgh, Nashville, Louisville, all racing in behind. The #1 seed in recent years has had a dominant run of form in the playoffs in the USL. Games like this do matter. And it's a whistle with Edward going down, and it's Spies this time. Indy 11 looking to make changes. Important return. Pasher, we were told already was getting his name sung by the supporters early in the season. Checks in, replaces Starikov. Braun, who's got 3 goals in the last trio of games, checks in as well.
And Justin Braun's been in some kind of form, and Tyler Pasher, a little golf clap for him. dealing with that neck injury, slowly making his way back in. Martin Rennie really high on him.
Ottawa still has a couple of moves left to make.
You can see what Martin's done as well. He's thrown Jack McInerney up top by himself, letting Justin Braun have some fun out on the left. And you would imagine Pasher's going to make his way to the right, most likely.
Naturally, he's a guy who plays on the left, but they love when he cuts in from the right-hand channel. Sano. Breaking the first line of pressure, but not the second. Lost at the halfway line. Braun gets a touch to it, and Indy 11 break away with the ball. Akers out on the right-hand side. McInerney. Saad was running right down Main Street, and Crépeau intercepts the service.
Behind Saad, you've got Braun. You've also got Tyler Pasher, who is definitely on the left now, and it's good stuff from Indy 11 in transition, but that ball, it's just too close to the end line. Easy pickings for Crépeau to just step up in and scoop it up.
Porter gave chase. You're talking about combining and finding open space if you're Indy 11 in the second half against an Ottawa team that so often is compact, and there it was for McInerney and the runs to accompany it.
It's definitely been better, but you can see there's a good look at Jack McInerney just seconds ago. He's starting to tire. I mean, he's got 15 minutes left on some tired legs coming down the stretch. The game's opened up. So offensively and defensively, it's been a lot more work off the ball for Indy 11. Not the worst thing for them to have to deal with, but you can see the chances much more readily available here in the second 45. But again, going the other direction, Ottawa has found some opportunities of its own. In the past 5 minutes, things definitely going Indy 11's way as Ottawa is starting to sit back and park the bus a little bit.
Return. Jose probing with Pasher on the left. Nearby Dixon, Porter trying to circumvent the back line of Indy 11. Saad turns down the first run, now plays it, flag stays down. Pasher out in front, it's punched away by Crépeau. That was taking a wicked skip off the turf. He'll get out.
We haven't seen him recently. You forget that first step that Tyler Pasher brings to this level.
Wonderful diagonal ball to open up play now for Indy 11. And intercepted off the foot of Venegas. Sano. Oliveira. Sano plays it through. Long run for Porter. Nobody joining the run. Porter on the right. And Ottawa will slow it to a crawl. Hydration break. I mentioned this Indy 11 team was a little bit gassed at this present moment. Some of these fans look a little bit gassed at the present moment too.
You can see the heat, the humidity, all of it coming into play here tonight. And that man right there has done a boatload of running. A lot of miles on the odometer. He's been busy in the middle, on the outside, and now they've moved him up top. But you've got some fresh legs in your substitution of Justin Braun, obviously Suni Saad coming on, and now the speedy Tyler Pasher. What sort of impact are they going to have in the game? What sort of combination of chemistry are they going to bring to their boys? And then on the other side of the ball, Popovich trusting his goalkeeper, Crépeau. Good save from the line. We saw the bicycle kick from McInerney, the strike by Watson. Jose getting in there a few times. was one of my personal favorites right there, and how could it not be? Johnny on the spot, right on your heels. The reaction time is amazing. This is kind of going back to what we were chatting earlier on, Mike. And look, you got a guy, Callum Irving, comes out, sets a club record, 36 starts last year. And he's the team's joint newcomer player of the year, has an abysmal first 2 matches. Crépeau steps in, taking full advantage of his opportunity.
And Irving has played a lot of matches in this league over the last couple of years. His time almost assuredly will come again down the road, but for now, Maxime Crépeau has run away with things. He was with Montreal when they were runners-up in CONCACAF Champions League. I mentioned earlier that he was with Gold Cup's Canadian roster. And Nikola Popovic will tell you he's been fantastic, but he's had a fantastic 10 in front of him. It takes a village mentality. He doesn't talk about individuals very much.
That was the resonating message that we heard from Popovic, and I like the word he used, union. I don't want to talk about one specific player. I want to talk about the union, the chemistry. And then he talked about going a little bit further in that, the environment that they're creating, because he really is building this from the ground up, and he talks about it, and he said, you know, it's different here than was different at Swope Park, than was different in Portugal, so on and so forth.
Foul outside the area as Braun dropped it back. Juan Guerra arguing for more. It's a yellow card to Obasi.
Obasi's done a pretty decent job tonight locking down the left side and the right side of all the runners for Indy 11. Going one-on-one with Venegas a lot. Seen a couple opportunities against Sooni Saad so far, but now you got to pick your poison. Who's it going to be? Iose, big left foot. McInerney, solid right. And it looks like they're going to go for the in-swinger. Be shocked if someone has a crack on net from this angle. And you can see Crépeau only going with the 2-man wall. Very dangerous for Indy 11.
Venegas 2 hands up, but it's Iose. He's looking for Saad. Crowd's not entirely enamored with that effort.
It's not a bad idea, but too deliberate. You could see it coming. The space was sitting right there in front of you. You need a dummy run in that situation. Kyle Porter read that from a mile away.
Rawson keeps this in. 6'4" center back playing far away from home. He's fouled by Falvey.
Just thinking moments ago about Bradford Russin, how we haven't called his name. That's a great thing, mind you, for a center back. But he gets caught out of his positioning here a little bit because of the dead ball situation and then coming back. Translation dictating that his opportunity is available for him, goes to ground, and again, another opportunity for Indy 11. It was wasted just moments ago, and you can see right at the top of the 18, all this space here. But this is where you get a checking run right over the penalty mark and then let someone dictate in behind it what's going to happen.
Iose, oh, there it was. And Ottawa was up to it. Kept alive for Iose. Saad. Not enough on that to challenge anybody. Venegas. Venegas, a couple of moves. Guerra. And now McInerney. Serving out in front. Popped up. Braun is still after it. And a trio of Ottawa players acting as a convoy to help it out. Lobbed into the right corner. Obasi. Contact, no whistle as McInerney flew to turf a bit too easily.
Never. This is never going to happen. The referee's never going to point to the spot in this situation. You see McInerney as he tries to cut back a little bit, almost loses his footing. Defender not pressing enough in that situation for the referee to award a PK. And this isn't surprising. Obviously, things opening up heavily and the temperature really coming into play for the boys on the pitch here this evening.
91 degrees. It's up around 95 at kickoff. McInerney here against Obasi.
And his left foot just fails him a little bit. It's not a bad touch coming over the top, but as he starts to slip, thinks that he can sway the referee's decision a little bit.
Russin, the player, down. Big, strong, and thick, the words that were used to describe him. 6'4", 31-year-old out of St. Stephen's Prep in Indiana. Went to UCLA, time in Denmark, Martin Rennie in North Carolina. And he had the utmost expectation that he would step right in. Carl, we met. You were right. Sock.
I'm getting my sock. I told you.
Woo.
There we go. And now you know how it happened.
I do.
Oh, he's feeling gassed. Couple 40, 50-yard runs for the big center back.
He did a pretty good job keeping that in at the end line, I would note.
I was impressed. Technical capability, not something that necessarily is associated with Bradford Russin, but I'll tell you what, the guy was on point.
He's 6'4". You're about 6'4", 6'5"?
Just under 6'5".
Yeah. I don't see you with that kind of touch.
My footwork is definitely more impressive than what Russin just brought us. That's different, though. I mean, I started off as a midfielder right in the middle of the park, moved out left a little bit, and even played up top a little. And only towards the latter portion of my development, 17, 18 years old, was I starting to be deployed as a center back. You'll see that a lot coming up through the youth ranks, guys that are scoring 15, 20 goals as a 9-year-old, and then they move into the midfield, and they hit the 14, 15-year-old mark and start to become the maestro in the middle of the pitch, dictating things a little bit. And then whether it's from a progression standpoint or developmentally, you're just growing differently.
Service long with Edward. Well, then they just move you to center back.
Hey, just move you to center back and say, look, all that stuff that you used to do going forward, don't let it happen this way.
Pocket picked by Manella. Sano pushing up. Taylor's down the middle. And a big touch from Carlisle Mitchell. Who's still the unlucky villain of this one, the 28th minute own goal. Deflected off his foot. But this is an Ottawa team that's outscored 8-3 in the final 15 minutes of games. An Indy 11 team that has shown the ability to find some late equalizers of late. Look at the speed of Pasher. Dives down at the legs of Edward.
Both guys on the left side of the field for Ottawa and Indy 11. Just moments ago, we saw Sanon down on the left, and Oliveira didn't have enough in the tank to chase him down, to help him out a little bit. Pasher going the other direction. Ball just getting caught a little bit in front of him. Good stuff by Eddie Edward working back. He's had his hands full on the left side of the pitch. It's been difficult for him.
Well, this will fall for McInerney, who's onside. Runner behind him, 2 out in front of him. He plays it forward now. Circling Saad. Runners in the box for Indy 11. Ball across over Braun. Still alive now for Pasher. Curls it into the stands.
The crowd can feel it. They can feel the emotion. Everybody pushing forward. It's a good ball to the back post. Pasher just letting that overtake his body a little bit. It's a wasted opportunity from Tyler Pasher. Ball set up real nice for him. Just lean back a little bit too much.
Juan Williams, the catch. Indy will go to work. Trying to avoid another letdown after a big win. Wow, a couple good touches through. It's out for a goal kick, Venegas. able to make enough work of this. And Devin, you and I spoke about it pregame. We spoke about it in the open to the telecast. Giant win for Indy, usually followed in succession by draw and disappointing loss.
If this continues in this manner, it'll be the third time where they've gone out, gotten a massive victory, and I mean massive. They've done it twice versus Nashville and once for Louisville. For them, those are their only wins against teams that are in playoff contention at this point in time. Now that may change a little bit further down the line, but you have to follow it up, and they haven't been able to. Versus the likes FC Cincinnati, which is a difficult one, I get, but you're still at home.
Braun for Guerra. Braun again! Levels it out in front of the 6, and Pasher wanted that in the air. He was all alone at the back post.
They also dealt with it against the Charlotte Independents. I was actually on that game, and Martin Rennie just telling us they were flat, an uninspiring performance. And you go back the other direction, again, you go out, great win versus Louisville, hard to go win versus Bob Lilly and the Riverhounds. But then you let Bethlehem Steel come into your home and embarrass you 2-1. That's just something that can't happen. And again, it's Groundhog Day. 1-0 in the 89th minute. They're in jeopardy of it happening and lightning striking for the third time.
Ottawa looking what could put this match away. Porter. Porter bursting through, lays it off. Well, it's a delayed effort from Taylor. He had all kinds of room to navigate. Sano. Perfect from Venegas, it had to be.
Good stuff, and I'll tell you, track back a second ago, though, for Ottawa, Popovich has got to be very happy with his center forward. It's a good job. When the ball comes in, he doesn't force it. He has no option available, and there's no reason for him to just kick. He's up against the wall, 3v1, and he gets the ball for another 30, 45 seconds for his squad. That's relevant looking at the clock right now.
Sano. Sergio Manicio set to come on. Tottenham, West Brom Academy product. It's enough for Obasi. He put in just a load of work tonight.
An absolutely amazing shift for him, and he's going to need a little bit more than an ice bath to deal with what he had to deal with tonight on that right side of the pitch. He did a good job. Everything in overlapping play, set pieces, used that big body and frame of his. Popovich's got to be very happy with that young man.
Manicio coming off the bench now for the 6th time this year. He turned 24 just 3 days ago for Obasi. Tremendous shift. He leaves with his team in position in stoppage time to go on the road, and for the 2nd consecutive week, USL Game of the Week, provide a pretty significant upset. Last week it was the end of a lengthy unbeaten streak for Nashville. This week, Indy's 5-game unbeaten streak. Close to its conclusion. They can't find an answer. 5 minutes at a time. Of course, in this half, there was a hydration break. Pumps that number a bit higher. Pasher sneaks out in front of Porter and takes it back. Ayose, perfectly weighted diagonal. Sano comes up on Venegas. Sod's in behind, an available option. Venegas says goodbye and sends it in front for Braun. Hello, USL Skills of the Week. Trying to round through. Manicio further. Now Ottawa trying to grip onto these 3 points. Pasher, the cutback. Pasher lays it off, the shot deflects out. Suni Saad was aiming for the corner. And it's a corner kick. Indy 11.
He had it. Decision was made. Thought the justice had been done. He's got that far corner. Crépeau might have been there, but the deflection saves them for sure.
You can sense it in Indy. These fans think there's an equalizer to be had shortly before the death. Service headed wide. Mitchell got up. He wasn't the only one. Error there too. Lest we remind you that there have been almost a half dozen of late equalizers or game winners in these last couple of weeks in USL.
We've seen a boatload of big names too dropping points down the stretch. And their ability to close out games has given Indy 11 the opportunity to climb up in situations like that. But now Indy 11 on the other side.
Sano. Sano held by Fawn Williams. And life still for Indy 11. Jose by Taylor. Again, this flank is open. Ricochets out. Throw for Indy 11. Venegas. Saad. Saad! For some, that's ambitious. For Soony Saad, that's par for the course. Just couldn't bring it down nearly enough.
That's just another Sunday knockabout for him. That becomes routine from what we've seen from Soony Saad in the past, and the skill set that he's deployed in the past 10 minutes has been absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, Indy 11 has not been able to capitalize on that, and they are in jeopardy once again of dropping points in a very manageable situation.
It was this point last year where Ottawa fell out of playoff position and never recovered. They were below the playoff line from July the 8th onward. And on this July 4th, could be a massive 3 points to move them within 2 points of the playoff picture. Indy's got other ideas. Maybe the last look here for Indy 11 at the death. Pasher crossing in front. Falvey, and it's caught. Stayed in play for Crépeau, who may be gripping his 8th shutout of the year. 6th win of the season for Ottawa, all by way of shutout. And at Lucas Oil Stadium, Ottawa goes on the road and gets 3 enormous points in the USL Game of the Week.
Obasi, Myers Jaguar, Falvey, Eddie Edward, and the substitutes that came on just did such a great job defensively. Popovich had an idea. He had a vision coming in here to Lucas Oil and did a good job pushing that out. Now, albeit they were the recipients of a very terrible clearance by Carlisle Mitchell, but they come in and stun the home squad and are going to get out of here with a massive 3 points.
And Crépeau in this Fury defense in trouble right to the very end. Pasher getting a late cross in.
It's just one of those ones where on the defensive side of things, you're doing anything you can to get a limb on it. Falvey cramping coming out of that situation. Crépeau going to his big center back right away. And you have to be impressed with what Popovich was able to bring to the pitch here this evening.
Martin Rennie's men, a disappointment at home at Lucas Oil Stadium. For Ottawa, it's a bit of luck. And a 1-0 win. We'll wrap it up when we come back. Rollout. Sweet.
Sweetness.
No.
I don't know where this positions. He's going to know better.
It's not going to be perfect. It's life.
Yeah, but Mike, it's supposed to be pushed in a certain way with the angle.
Slightly inside the door, aimed back there.
Aimed back here? Yep. That way.
Aimed at the wall. Not quite at the wall. It's like an angle. Yeah. And move it just inside the door. Yeah, that's where it was. Wonderful.
Door's open. Everybody shut up out there. Please.
We're just following orders.
Sharon, how long do I have talking point? I can do that. I can do 18.
And if you run a little into the rollout, just finish. Indy 11 thanks the crowd of over 10,000 that came out to Lucas Oil Stadium on the night. They fall short, their 5-game unbeaten streak over. Ottawa Fury, a 1-0 winner in our USL Game of the Week. We welcome you back to the booth. Devin Kerr alongside Mike Watts. For Ottawa, it took a little luck, didn't it? It sort of works out.
Can't believe it. Stunned, shocked. You can use a million words to describe what went on, but you got to give credit to the traveling squad. They came in and did their job. Stayed compressed, counterattacked, did everything appropriately. Indy 11, unfortunately, this is a wasted opportunity. They're going to look back on this come the end of the season and rue the day that they let Ottawa stay in this game.
Ottawa moving within just a couple points of the Eastern Conference playoff picture. In large part, no harm, no foul for Indy 11. They still have some games in hand on several, as Indy 11 will take on Charlotte next. For Ottawa, 4 straight home games. Starts with Pittsburgh near the top of the Eastern Conference standings. For producer Sharni Yerke, Gage Tillotson, Jonathan Tellicher, and our entire team in Indianapolis, and Devin Kerr alongside Mike Watts saying thanks for watching. Ottawa 1, Indy 0. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.